Good evening, folks, and welcome to episode 71 of the Barbells and BS podcast. This evening, we are joined by none other than the voice of powerlifting, Mr. Ryder Lapadat, King of the Lifts. I think one of the oldest powerlifting podcasts. You're an OG, man, and definitely for IPF powerlifting podcasts. So very, very happy to have Ryan here. I'm going to apologise in advance for the sniffles and the ratty-ass sounding voice I've got right now. I'm just coming back off some kind of horrible lurgy that I got over the past couple of days. So apologies for that, but we got a really cracking episode planned. We've got loads of good questions from Ryan. You guys came in with some great questions, some really shit questions as well, so we're not going to answer those, but we got some good questions. But as with everyone, we're going to start off with Ryan's hot take. So I'm very excited to hear this. Let's see what you got to say, man.
Joe Borenstein says he's going 93 tomorrow. I'm making him the favorite to win Worlds June 2026.
Oh.
Damn.
What do you fellas say?
It is. I mean, you look at his total now, right? And then you add
904.
Yeah, you add 10 kilos of body weight to that. And he, like, the one thing with Joe is he doesn't train stupid. Like, just because you go up a weight class doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be, like, unbelievable. But he trains well. And he's very into his training. He understands it. And he has, his friend who, like, partly coaches him. And I look at examples like, Russ, for example, when he went up from 83 and he was not
Immediately. And
Yeah.
listen. So here's what it is. Russ was 870 at Sheffield in January. Russ, 870. Russ moved to 93, and Russ is shorter than Joe. Moved to 93 immediately, takes the world record, 918 and change. And then Joe is already as an 83 at 904. He's 16 kilos away from Will Ball, and he's 10 kilos body weight. And he doesn't even need to fill out 93. 16 kilos is I mean, he might do 16 kilos as a spread at Sheffield as an 83, for God's sake. Or at least cut it down to within 10 kilos. But imagine he says, "Now fuck that, I'm going full 93. I got till June. Let's give him till June." I say if he makes it the Worlds, if he did it, like, his only drawback would be he has to make the American team. So that means he has to beat Will Ball by April, which is a quicker turnaround. How quick does he throw on body weight and mitigate that gap? But that gap is 16 kilos, that is not a crazy gap. I mean, the gap between those two is more abbreviated than Perk and Joe B. It's not a big gap, all things considered. Look it's a hot take for a reason. It's not the forefront of your mind. He'd be the leading 93. However, it's a hot take because telling me that's crazy. It ain't crazy if he's only 16 kilos off.
No, like I say, it's not crazy.
And he's only an 83.
Yeah.
He is indeed only an 83. And you know what? I think what we'd probably see, we probably wouldn't see his deadlift shoot up like crazy. He's a very technical deadlifter.
That's true.
If it says deadlift even stayed the same,
his deadlift is the same, and he puts
his squat and his bench would go.
His squat needs to move anyways. Maybe that's what's holding the squat back. I don't know.
Yeah,
he needs to move that squat up, and that's the one that's flagging the most.
Like 307 is the squat that needs to move now. That's what we're saying in the 83s now. Is if you're squatting 307, you got a kind of shitty squat in the 83s. Ain't that just fucking nuts?
Yeah,
garbage. And like, can you imagine what fucking his bench would do if he went up 10 kilos of body weight, or even like 5 kilos of body weight?
Yeah, like, you gotta remember, right, when Russ went to NAPF, he flew to the wrong fucking country, and then he only weighed in at, like, I think he weighed 92, like, or under 92. So he had that, not like with the circumstance he did it in. And just because he wasn't cutting, like he was talking the day before because he lost weight, he was just pounding food in and, like, trying to eat up. As someone like Joe, and like what Ross was, cutting into the weight, well, I don't know how much Joe actually cuts in that much, but still having to drop some weight. If he didn't have to do that as well, and like say, even if he was like 88, 89, you don't know what, as someone who went up a weight class recently, not having to do that does make a difference on the day.
Yeah.
You look at like Taylor, what it did for Taylor. Look what it did for Russ. It can you never know. He's young too, so it's not like he's an old man. He's growing. He's a young guy, but
Yeah.
who knows? But he's already, even if it. I mean, we don't need a big growth, is what I'm saying. He's only 16 kilos behind. I don't need to mitigate a big gap
Yeah.
for that to be real.
And
He's
like you say,
already.
yeah, if he
Yeah.
again, deadlift stays the same, right? He's pretty well built for deadlift as well. It's the squat is hard because he's got the long legs, quite short torso. But if that goes up, his bench goes up, and his deadlift even stays the same. 16 kilos is not hard to make up.
No, man.
But I guess the thing is more if we're looking at the time frame, the other 93s are still going to improve. So it's like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
But Russ put 50 kilos on his total in 6 months. Russ is 10 out of 10 genetics, works hard, trains hard, has got all of the chips stacked in his favor, and he went up 50 kilos by going up a weight class.
yeah,
Imagine Joey B going up a weight class.
You wouldn't need, like, who knows? Listen, at some point, I'd be shocked if Joe B doesn't go 93. And we're going to find out.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're going to find out. Not yet. He's got, he's going to win a few and build his legacy. But there's no question he's going 93 at some point. And those fellas better hurry up. They better start putting. And Will Ball's young as hell. He's going to.
Yeah. Man, that Will Ball as well.
I'm sure Will Ball's a phenom.
What is America putting in their water? That's what I want to know. Because Joe B, Will Ball, what the fuck is going on? It is.
Well,
Jaden Lowe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jaden Lowe. Like, SBD Austin were like, hold up. This is like a superstar meet, and it's in Texas. And this is just the States, man.
Don't forget. Let's put some respect. Like, I mean, another one is Kaiko. Like, he's looking good at the minute. Like,
100%.
he's looking real good. But let's not count out the Europeans. You know,
I got Khrushchev.
Khrushchev does not look like he's slowing down, and I think Gustav as well. It's not as
We
ever
say
as
that,
try with those guys.
but top 3 93s are all States, man. They're all the States.
Well, what do you guys think? It's close though. I mean, I think someone pulled up a stat on the last podcast I was on, and number 1 through 6, only 6 kilos separate the top 93s. Like, it's so clustered. It's anybody's ball game. But who would you guys put as the favorite for Sheffield going into Sheffield?
Oh, man, that's a hard question, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
93s is just gonna be so. I can't. I don't think I can count Russ out. I love Emil. Emil's
No.
class. I've had Emil on the podcast. He's amazing. But Russ is, and with sort of
I mean, he just squatted 800 pounds, didn't he?
Sheffield,
recently.
Sheffield conditions,
Yep.
getting everything lined up for them. It's hard to look past Russ. It's going to be Russ and Emil. I think respect to Gustav, but I think Russ and Emil are out ahead right now. Emil looks strong. Like,
Him and Kedrick, they've got him on lock. He looks determined. I know Russ is coming in hot, and I know he's got the squat and everything like that, but his bench also needs to make a move because he's went up a lot. He's went up the weight class, and that bench is not budged as much as I thought it would. Again, I can relate to that. But I still think it'll be Emil. I do still think it'll be Emil.
the thing is, right? Emil's got the deadlift. That's what Emil's card to play is. Like, he's got the deadlift over Russ. Not as much anymore. There's only 15.
Don't forget the bench.
10, 15. Yeah, but like Russ, but Emil will come out last to the deadlift. Is what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
Emil is going to come out after Russ. And at Sheffield last year, that paid off, innit? Like, there was
Russ is-
there was
Emil's
Emil's
controversy.
biggest deadlift is 365, 3 off the top of my dome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Russ
Russ-
did that in training, right? Well, he failed it, but
I think he failed it, but what if Russ? Is it inconceivable that Russ hits it? I don't know. I think Emil's deadlift is bigger now for sure. It's not inconceivable Russ catches up and we're in a tit for tat by deads.
But I
don't know,
I could see Russ dropping the dead. To be fair, Khrushchev's dropped a few deadlifts, but more likely I see
Yeah.
Russ drop the deadlift if he has to push for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is,
Right. That's fair. That's fair. I agree. I think Krastev is ahead for deadlift, but it's pretty close, and it's probably going to get closer. It's
The
gonna be
thing is,
it's gonna be so good.
Russ came to Sheffield, and I was watching to see if he wouldn't get a squat, and he got them. And I actually think his squats in training have looked more convincing depth-wise. NEPF again was close. You know, it was a
But it's
close
not
one.
exactly like Khrushchev. I mean, all love to
Nah,
Emil,
nah.
but it's not like Khrushchev is an ass to grass squatter. So
Yeah,
he's
I
had his
know, I know.
fair share of depth calls. I think he actually got his last squat overturned to good at Worlds, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
Is
no,
that
he
right?
missed his second, I'm pretty sure.
Missed
Then he
his
got
second.
it on his third, and it
Okay,
was.
yeah.
I'm pretty
But-
sure that was the case because I remember him giving like the thumbs up after the third because I think he had missed the second. He came out and like done that in front of the rack. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's the case. Either way, one got missed, and he
Yeah, he
didn't
missed
quite
his
get
second.
to
He
it.
missed his second. You're right.
Yeah.
I knew there was some sort of. I knew there was a depth call involved. It was a while ago now. But back to Ryan's hot take because we've got to rate this. So Ryan, Keir, who usually joins us, unfortunately he's trying to become a lawyer and do something with his life, so he's got exams. I can't believe how inconsiderate of that of me is.
Drop out of law school and be a podcaster,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Or powerlifting coach, which is probably going to happen anyway. But anyway, so there's two components to our system of hot takes. There is how much we agree with it and how hot of a take it is. So that they both get scored out of 10, and you get a combined score out of 20. I actually think this is quite a hot take. Like we just said, there are shooters in the 93s, and I'm not gonna lie, that was a left field hot take. That did catch me by surprise. I don't know about you, Bill. That caught me by surprise.
I mean, to be fair, if anyone was going to come out with something like that, it would be Ryan.
Yeah, this guy's got that open powerlifting knowledge on lock.
Yeah, but realistically, it's just funny because I think everyone's just so like no one thinks that Joey B will do it anytime soon, so no one conceives him as a 93 yet. But when you actually think about how close it is, if he did, I actually think like if I put a bunch of people in a room, I actually think most people would probably agree with it. That's why in my head I'm actually going higher on the agreement, but not as high on the hot take.
Well. I will say, Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, your quote was Joey B as a 93 would win Worlds if it was tomorrow. Is that no? It was
No, I said if he said he's going
Next
93 tomorrow.
World.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Next
That's
World.
because what makes it hotter is he's got limited time to get up to 93, right?
Yeah.
He's an 83 right now, so he's got from tomorrow to start bulking.
So that's
Right,
what, 6
so-
months.
Bear in mind,
It's close to Russ's timeline, which makes it what you said the barometer of Russ did this, and Joey B starting only 16 kilos away.
yeah.
You put 20 people in a room and you said Joe B just announced he's going 93. How do you think he's going to do? I wonder what people would say.
Yeah. I'd wonder what Russ said that would say.
Oh,
I think they say, "Oh shit."
Fuck, man. Fraser, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty hot take. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna shoot for a 7.5 on the hotness. I'm not gonna lie. On the agreement, I think I'm probably a 10. I think I agree. I think Joey B would take the dub over
Man.
over them all.
My head's spinning right now with the 93s because Kaiko looks like we're talking like next Worlds he'd do it. Kaiko keeps talking about 940, 950. And
Yeah, but if Joey B followed Russ, if Joey B just followed what Russ did, bear in mind that Joey B has a significantly younger training age than Russ, then Joey B would only have to put on 45 kilos to hit 950.
yeah,
46
but
kilos.
that's about where they're looking to land, right? So again, it's
They've
a bit
been looking
more
to
of a
land
battle.
there for a long ass time, man.
I was gonna say,
people have been talking 940 for a long
these
time.
93s are a mature bunch. They've been there for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a huge jump from year over year for a mature
Fuck
bunch.
me. And the thing
The
is,
pacing has not been that.
Yeah, Joey B loves to train hard as well, and I'm surprised sometimes when he does his training blocks, he doesn't get hurt or anything like that. I guess that's the genetic blessing and how locked in he is. But if he did that with extra body weight, he could just go nuts. So yeah, I think the agreement. I'm gonna go with a 9. You can't argue with 16 kilos. Hot take, I still stand by. I think I'll go a little bit lower. I'll go with a 7.
All right, that scores you. I've done my maths wrong. Hold on a minute. It puts you in think it puts you around Joey B. Ironically, it'll sit you just around Joey B in terms of ranking.
Ironically.
Ironically.
What did he say?
What did Joey B? Joey B actually had a really good hot take. This one absolutely shot off on the Instagram. But there should be a QT for Worlds, a minimum qualifying total for Worlds. It was a good conversation because he made quite a lot of good points, and there was a lot of agreement. But I always caveated that with, I like the fact that we get to have the representation from countries that maybe don't have as great of a powerlifting base right now, but they get to. It allows the sort of growth in those countries. If you put a QT
they have
minimum,
to do that.
Yeah.
By the way, so you know that'll never change.
Yeah.
It was the
exactly
whole thing because of Nats, because of US Nats, and like 3 of the best 83 totals in the world all came from Nats. So he was basically saying like, it should be, which obviously came with complications because then certain teams are bigger and all this kind of stuff. But basically, it was like more US folk need to go because it's the best of the best. So it was very timely, which definitely made it hotter as well.
I will say though, I'm going to throw this out there. I keep bringing this up. Our Team Scotland head coach, Will Brown, he keeps saying Ryder Cup. Ryder Cup for powerlifting. US versus Europe, because Britain's not in the fucking EU anymore. That's a whole other debacle. Europe versus the US. Once a year, once every 2 years, alternate it, knocking back between the US and the Europe.
That'd be amazing.
I mean,
cool.
Take teams of 16, 8 men, 8 women, figure out how we score it. Honestly, I think we do it like best GL.
Yeah,
you do it GL. You do it in Home Nations here. GL total is how you do it, because then you just stack the team. You have a stacked lineup. You've got Austin, you've got Taylor, you've got Will Ball, you've got Joey B.
I went nuclear war when I heard GL points. I'm not gonna lie.
You're not a GL points fan?
I'm gonna need some head-to-heads. GL points is not getting me wound up. Like I can't wait to see if Rondell out GL points Joe B. I literally will never say that. If you told me, ask me right now what Joe B's GL points or Rondell's GL points, I'm gonna be like,
you know what? You make a good point.
No idea.
You make a good totals talk.
But if you told me the 3 best 83s of US versus the 3 best 83s of Europe, head up. 3 best 93s of USA versus the 3 best 93s of Europe, head up. Kilos, let's rumble. Rumble, young man, rumble. And if those classes aren't stacked, whatever, because you'll have an outlier like Perk. No need. I don't care. We already know what's going to happen. So you don't need every weight class representation. That's what I'm thinking anyways, is head up kilos battle is what? You got my attention.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like, you see how big it is with the golf and stuff like that and how much the rivalry is there. Like, if you did it,
Agree.
It would be sick.
All I'm saying is, right?
Yeah.
If it was the Battle of the 83s, US versus EU, or Europe, sorry, we could have Taylor, Russell, Delaney versus Durans, Ade. And technically, we could take Angelo Fortino for ourselves.
Yeah, I want him.
Man's Italian for a day.
What?
If we get, that's the way we get Angelo and an Italian.
Yeah, he's Italian, man.
We do it. We claim him.
Yeah, I mean, and look at the again with the 93s. You take the European fellas, but there's a bottleneck in USA as well. Take the top 3. Don't worry about it. No bottleneck anymore. There's a couple classes like that. Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great idea. You don't have to do it for every weight class. That's why some weight classes you just triple up, quadruple up, whatever.
Yeah, man. I think it's such a good idea. We've been saying this, like, we just need to find someone who's like, let's do it. Let's put the money behind it and fucking sort it. So we're gonna put out. I put SBD. Whoever we put the money behind it, I don't care. I just want to see it happen because I think Sheffield and all of those, they're beautiful. But that to me just sort of, it tickles something that feels like is missing in powerlifting. That sort of
it's that team aspect.
The
right?
team aspect.
Like, I know we do have it with like the teams that go to Worlds, but it still feels very individual. Whereas if it was literally like battle of the continents, it would be fucking cool.
And we could.
I think it's a great idea.
Excellent.
And yeah, I'm in.
Excellent.
Pete
Love to hear it.
Spence, if you're listening,
Yeah,
you got another one from us.
There you go. Hook us up, man. All right, let's get into the actual quizzing because you don't particularly go on other podcasts often, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan. You're a pretty busy guy.
Busy as shit, man. I'm super busy.
Yeah, I know the feeling. But I'm very glad you took the time to talk to us because I think like I said, King Left. You've been going. How many episodes are you on now? How long have you been doing this?
Oh, I got no idea. It's been 2026 will be 10 years, man.
10 years.
A decade.
Wow.
A decade.
That's
Damn,
crazy.
10 years. 2026 is 10 years of podcasting and 10 years of commentating. Both.
That's crazy.
10-year vet. That's crazy.
All right, what made you want to start King of the Left? What was your like kickoff moment like?
I think this is something that a lot of our listeners are very curious about because I feel like obviously you're the voice of powerlifting, but you don't normally get asked questions about like you and where you came from and how this all came about. And I think that's something a lot of people want to know more about.
So 2014, 15, way back, like I started powerlifting 2008. And I mean, it was a whole nother world back in the day. You would show up at competitions like people at the world championships, you would hear names and not even know what they look like. It was nothing like it is right now. And I always knew in my heart of heart, like mainstream media is not going to give us our voice. They're not going to tell our stories. It's going to be on us. We got to figure it out. We got to be our own ESPN. And that's a North American thing, but Eurosport. I know now the irony is we are on Eurosport, but we need to figure this out ourselves. So that's when I started doing King of the Lifts. There was no TikTok, it was just Instagram. And I started doing the Instagram thing, like reposting athletes, typing showdowns, saying like, this was unique. This was actually unique in that when John Hack in 2016 was facing off with Brett Gibbs, I started King of the Lifts, and I also took over the IPF Instagram. I reached out directly to Gaston Parage, and I said, here's what I noticed about your Instagram, and here's what I think I could do for you if you let me take over. And I was convincing. Previously, I had media from, like, I was on a reality TV show and a bunch of other stuff, right? Lived a whole nother life with it.
Wait,
so I came with a resume.
What reality TV show?
I had a reality TV show. Yeah.
No
And
way.
oh dog, my story is like crazy. But before we can backtrack into that in a sec. Yeah. But to start about the King of Lifts one, so I gave him my resume for media because I'm full on media trained, like TV producers for real media trained. And so he's like, all right, it's yours. And then leading into 2016 Worlds, I took over the IPF media page, and in conjunction with IPF and King of the Lifts in parallel, I would post John Hack and immediately post Brett Gibbs. And if John Hack did triple, I would grab Brett Gibbs triple and post them. I would do a split screen, and I would say, like, who moved better? Well, his moved better, but his was 5 pounds or 5 kilos heavier. And I would like start hyping. And now this seems like, yeah, well, no shit. But I'm telling you, fellas, nobody had done this before. It's only no shit because it's because someone was doing it. Nobody had done any of this. And people noticed, like, what is going on with the IPF page? And I was like leaning in, and I knew. And was using in conjunction with King of the Lifts at the exact same time. So I'm focusing on that one, but there's a bunch of other battles, but that was a pivotal battle. And then IPF Worlds leading into it, and this is like when you get blessed. So Gaston Parage sends out an email to the media team saying, we need some commentators. Who wants to commentate IPF Worlds? And I'm on the media team reading their Instagram account, and I'm thinking, fuck, there's no way it's this easy. There's no way. And I replied to an email and said, yeah, I'll do it. And get your ticket. We'll book your hotel. We'll see you there in Texas.
9 to 10 years later.
Oh, I show up to IPF Worlds. Back at the time, it was you did all the Masters, then all of the Juniors, then all of the Open. My friends were talking 12 days straight. Every day, up to 4 sessions a day. So when people talk about like, man, it was crazy. I did 3 days of commentating. I'm so tired. I'm like, that's cute. That wouldn't even be open section. I had to do all of masters, all of juniors, and then like I carved my teeth, fellas. You talk about 80-year-old grandmas, and then you talk about 12-year-olds, and then after a week of that, then all day, then you get to talk about like, the open. So, anyways, as we went into IPF Worlds, and I'm carving my teeth like super fast because I had no. We were getting groceries, me and the media team, and one of the fellows was like, "Ryan, you new on this? How long you been commentating?" I'm like, "This is my first one." And they're like, "Nah, like this is your first Worlds, I know, but like, how long have you been commentating like other competitions, like nationals? You're from Canada. How many Canadian nationals you done?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't done any Canadian nationals." Like, all right, but how many like provincials have you done? State meets? I'm like, dog, I haven't commentated before in my life. like, like, your first one is gonna be IPF Worlds. I'm like, yeah. Said yes to in an email, and this will like never happen now. By the way, like this is, but so we, I hop on the mic throughout masters, throughout juniors. I'm getting better and better and better, learning real quick, but like still nowhere near what I was like year 3, 4, whatever. But by the time Hack and Gibbs rolled around, SPD had for the first time themselves, another first, did pictures of them facing off in studio, arms crossed like boxers. And all the posters. Now, again, this isn't earth shattering now. What's the big deal? But you got to understand, we've never done this. Powerlifting had never done this. No federation had ever. Now you have Powerlifting America quoting King of the Lifts, me saying, "Who the fuck is Will Ball?" And that's like a Fed with an F-bomb in it. Back then, they've never done none of this. So this is all brand new. And then when 83s happened and Hack Gibbs was about to happen, the fellas in the media team, first time ever, put the camera on a commentator, never happened before, and said, "Ryan, you've been hyping this for months on King of Lifts, IPF page. You've been going off on this. SBD's all rallying behind it." They're like, "Give us a 2-minute intro." And then I said, "This is our Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier. This is our Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi. This is and I went down the list of sports rivalries. I go, that's what's about to happen today for powerlifting. That's what this means to us." And I just off the dome freestyled that. And it made people watching like, it impacted like, holy shit, this is. And then boom, those fellas, Gibbs, Hack, who are legends now, toe to toe right to the very last deadlift. And after that, that's when I knew there's a gap and I can help bridge this from the storytelling on social media and I was podcasting, to the podcasting, having the fellows on the hype, to the commentary who actually knows the background, knows this is the hot one. Trust me, focus on this one. And giving it that. So then when people afterwards are like, that was all the comments now again, everyone's like, that was so hype, this battle, that battle. At that time, when people watched it, they were like, I can't believe that felt like real. That felt like other sports. That felt. If you watch previous, man, the streams and everything, it wasn't like that, man. It was more, it didn't feel like that. And once I hit that and I knew, I'm like, I gotta roll with this. And the podcast went full after the battles I had on Gibbs, I had on Hack, let's relive it. I had on Joey Flex, what happened with it. And after that, I'm like, I knew this is my home. I don't give a shit. Other sports, it's already established. But I went in when there was nothing and helped grow with it. And then like day 2, me and Benjamin Banks are commentating together. That's the president of SPD, by the way. I know everyone's like, Pete Spence, get on this, make this happen. Like you felt said earlier, it's gonna be Benjamin Banks who greenlights these, huh? It's that's the man who's gonna pull the trigger on these decisions. But and I just happened to be beside Benjamin Banks, and then SPD blows up, and our ascent, comes and it becomes like when Sheffield's gonna roll around 2020, it's like grab Ryan. And things like right time, right place, right vision. You got the enthusiasm, where you want to take it. And the first to market, it's a huge help. And fellas, that was it. Like I seen a gap, and I'm like, I think I might be one of the guys who could do this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first started getting into powerlifting. This was like 2018, so still like reasonably early on in sort of the IPF's ascent to popularity. I'd say 2018, we were still very much ascending. We are now at a whole different. I don't recognize
Mm.
the sport that I'm in now, and that's in a positive light. That's to say. But I remember watching like following the King of the Lifts page for the first time, and I remember seeing these sort of face-off things, and it was something that I hadn't really seen before because I was very much following strongman and untested powerlifting, and it wasn't the same vibe. And then we came to like the IPF, and I was like, oh shit, these are people I can relate to. That was the biggest thing for me between the IPF and like untested, was I couldn't relate to a guy who was sticking the needle in his ass every couple of days. I was a uni student. I had no money. I was eating fucking tuna and rice every day. But like I'm watching that IPF list, and I was like, oh damn, if I just eat good, train good, I can be like this. Now I'm much less naive and know that is in fact not the case. There's a whole lot of genetics that do play into this. But I remember watching like, oh shit, this is cool as fuck. And seeing the growth of the sport now, I think without podcasts like King of the Lift, we probably wouldn't have seen the same level of growth because it's brought so many people to the sport and kept them in the sport. I mean, listening to podcasts like King of the Lifts and Sabato is what got us started. Like that is like we were like,
Thank you.
like we were like,
I love thank you for the kind words, by the way. Like that's very
no man,
nice
like
of you.
for real,
Yeah.
like I genuinely do not think powerlifting would be in the same place. Like we were like, oh shit, this is cool. Like talking about powerlifting, we all fucking nerd out about this shit. It's cool. It's cool to have people like enjoy what you say and want to hear more about your thoughts on powerlifting, and getting to talk to really cool people. Like when you talk to these athletes and these coaches, they're such genuinely nice people. That's what I found with everyone. I don't know if you found the same on your podcast. I'm assuming you have. Almost everyone we've had on, I'm like, these are just good people. Like powerlifting is full of good people, and it reminds you how good this sport is. Like we're so lucky to be in this community, in this sport.
I think as well, though, it's definitely just even hearing Ryan talk about it, that excitement for when it first started is still there now. Like I can hear Ryan talk about it, and that excitement and enthusiasm, and that's what we need for like from the people who are presenting the sport to be like, not just to be like, oh, I see an opportunity here to whether it's to make money or anything. It's like I genuinely care about this and I can make an impact, and that we still need that now. Like we still need that to keep going because we're in such a good place and we're riding that wave, and we've got to keep riding it because, like I said, I wasn't even paying attention to powerlifting back then, and even looking at things from then compared to now is unbelievable, and it's not that long a time. So if we think another 10 years, God knows, which is so exciting. But I think that's the thing. I think we're all, and especially from the media side of it, even with us in the small sort of time we've been doing it, it's just so great to be a part of, and having people, like dragging people, more people into the sport and showing them how great the sport actually is.
Another thing that's like developed like huge, like when I first started, I would come with like the same kind of questions and whatever, and it's developed into like just a long format conversation. Because what I notice is like get people talking, and you never know what's going to come out. But stick to just a script, and like some people are good talkers anyways, but sometimes you can't go to certain places. And just over time, you learn so much by doing when you do something over a long period of time, and you develop so much. And it moved into so many places. Like the first time somebody really opened up, caught me off guard, is 2019, and lady came on from the Untested. She's number one untested in the world at the time. And like, so I was asking people ahead of time, what are some questions I should ask you? Like, how did you grow up? Blah, blah, got a little background. And she's like, ask me how I got started. And I'm like, I mean, say less. you're always gonna probably ask that if you haven't like if someone doesn't know it's the first time on. So I'm like, so how did you get started? Like, what was your motivation? Blah blah blah. And she was the first to drop one of the heavy stories on me. And she said, when I was 13, I was held down and raped, and I will never allow somebody to do that to me again, and I will never be overpowered like that again.
Damn.
And pause. And I haven't been at this point. I have had so many moments on King of the Lifts. Like, oh man, there's so many over the years from men and women talking about everything from eating disorders to molestation to suicide attempts to growing up in gang life, street kids, being homeless, doing the whole night. I've heard it all. Like, it's not just powerlifting. But I wasn't ready. Like, that was the first one where I was like, oh. And some people who know me, like long before powerlifting were like, that caught you, man. I could tell. And I was just still carving my teeth, man. It takes like 150 episodes to find. If someone said that on another podcast and I think it's real, someone said, because when I look back at my early King of Lifts, like, doesn't mean you can't be good before that. I just mean to really, like, you start finding stuff. You start like, and I listened to some of my earlier episodes. I'm like, holy shit, this is not good. But whatever, it is what it is. You have to carve your teeth, especially like there wasn't a lot before you at certain points, so I didn't have that. So I'm learning. We're all learning with me. But that caught me, and then afterwards, I became a lot like so much better in these tough, uncomfortable conversation moments that other lifters would hear it happen, and when they came on, they heard how I dealt it. They knew it was the space to do it. And maybe it's my age because I'm older that people feel it's a little easier to open up. It's one-on-one now. Like, it's just me interviewing you. So maybe people feel if it's just one-on-one. I don't know. But over time it's happened so often. And now King of Lifts has become so much more than just come on here and talk powerlifting. I tell people we could talk about whatever. Like, things will open up when I ask you your story. So, like, I mean, I don't know if you heard the Sunita Mulu King of the Lifts, but she goes into her story and she was like, again, same thing, man. 12 years old, raped roadside, and people were driving by honking and yelling like it was like funny. And she was 12, man. And it was like horrific. Like, and this is the strongest woman that ever lived. And what she's been through as a kid and like her whole upbringing, and like, so now she's with that, everything you go through makes you what you are later in life. It's just takes you back, and they're crying, opening up to you, and you're like, so I've fought sometimes to hold myself, and you learn when someone's telling their story, you just let them, like, you sometimes when they pause. I had Jonathan Keiko take off his glasses and hold his head like this, and then I was ready. I've been through it, and you just wait. And it's uncomfortable, and your first thing is to cover that uncomfortable gap or whatever. No, wait for them. They come back, put his glasses back on, and he kept talking. That you honor their story, and it's like I'm telling you right now, if this all came to a head tomorrow, I will 10 years. The amount of conversations I had, I'm a different person now. I flew all over the world commentating. I've talked to people once, twice a week for 10 years all over the world. I would have completely different backgrounds than me. It's like, I'll never forget this. It was I don't give a shit. I got a normal day job, and people in my normal day job are like, how much money are you making doing all this? Like, is it worth it for you? I remember some dude asked me this. He's like, do you make enough to like spend your time doing that? And I'm like, if you put a dollar amount to what you do, and if you ask me if it's worth it and you ask me dollar amount, brother, you probably got nothing like this in your life. Let me flip it around. You couldn't pay me to take this away. You couldn't pay me. I'd be like, fuck you.
I love that. I really do.
It's the stories you've had on your podcast is incredible. And I think it's so good for people to have this platform to see that powerlifting, yeah, it's not just powerlifting. It is the space to, like, powerlifting is a space to be comfortable. Not to be comfortable, but to be open, to be yourself, to be yourself, to be authentic. And if, and people accept you for that in powerlifting, and that's what I love. And
it's also the stories behind it for us. Like you said, like we talk about sports, and sports are often like a representation of life and things that are going on. But we talk about like people being represented, right? When people are listening to these things and they see these athletes, and we see them at Sheffield, and we're like, wow, look at these guys. And you hear the things they've went through, the challenges they've faced. Again, it's relatable. And that makes you more attached to them. That builds fan bases. That builds love and care for a sport and gets more people into the sport. And it's what we need, because these phenoms we have to, like you say, respect them and respect their stories, and it'll only help us go forward. It's a really cool thing. And even with the great people we've had on the podcast so far, like you said, we are very much sharpening our teeth. We're not at the 150 episode mark yet, but what we kind of like, in the angle we sort of go for, is it's almost like you're just chatting to a friend in the gym. That was always our thing. It's me, Chris, and Kier. We're in the gym. We're just chatting shit. We're talking about all the different things relating to powerlifting, with programming and the rivalries and all this kind of stuff. And when we have people on and we just have a joke and a laugh, they feel more comfortable to open up, and just they become one of our friends in the gym just talking. And then, like you said, they feel more comfortable to be more to themselves. Yeah. And we always, sometimes, you'll understand this, you'll get like a guest, you're like, I don't know how much I'm going to get here. We have to do the work to make sure we can present, I guess, ourselves and them in the best way possible. And then when you come off that great episode, they've opened up and you've really got that feeling of a job well done. Like, this is something that people can take from it. It's just, there's such a good feeling. And even like you said, we're so grateful for what we've done so far. We're nowhere near.
Yeah. I love what you said about someone asking you if you made any money doing this. And when I started this podcast, when we started this podcast and my day job, people were saying, oh, do you make any money at it? And I was like, no, this costs me so much money to do. I do not make anything. This is a money sink, but I wouldn't change it for a world. Like, even when we sell like t-shirts and stuff, like, that is only, we do that because they look cool and people wanted to have them. So we sold. We didn't make a dime. I think we lost money on every single sale we've done, bar the Brittany one, where we sent all of the profits to charity. We've not made a dime on any of our t-shirt sales, because that's not, if you're doing this shit to make money, if you want to make money and be a Bill Gates podcast, making your billions from podcasting, you're probably not going to go anywhere. Unless you're Diary of a CEO or James Will Smith or something like that, you're not going to make any money.
No.
But what you can do is you can bring people in the sport, keep people in the sport, spread news, spread stories, spread love.
Have an impact, right?
Have an impact.
And have one hell of a journey doing it. Like, what I mean?
Billy, I don't know if you saw the message we got from one of the listeners we have. Dropped us a message and she said, you guys feel like friends when I don't feel like I have any friends. Yeah. And I'm like, man, like, we're on different sides. When we're on different sides of the world, and the fact that we can have that impact. And I've said this on the podcast before. Someone was like, your podcast made me want to try powerlifting again. Shit like that, man. I wouldn't trade this for anything. You couldn't give me money to throw this away and trade it for anything. And someone was like, oh, you can have, a salary from this, but you wouldn't have the same effect. No, we do this because we love the sport and we love the community and we love growing it. Even in Scottish powerlifting, we got such a great community in Scottish powerlifting, and at Barbells and BS, I think we have helped that community come together. We go to, I can't remember the last meet I wasn't at, bar one that clashed. Yeah. Like, we're always there because that's how I see us cutting our teeth. Is, yes, we're doing the podcast, but as well, we show up to meets and we bring the energy, whether that's volunteering or commentating or emceeing. And actually, our first commentating gig was at Swiss Open Nationals, which I think we absolutely butchered, but it was fucking brilliant. Like, I will give you this. commentating is not easy. It is
No.
fucking
Not the
hard.
same as podcasting at all.
No.
Like, it's not the same skill set at all. That's where people, I know because like I do both, and sometimes people, you get used to, because I've been doing it for 10 years, so you might have come in the game and be familiar with that, thinking, well, that must be similar skill sets, but it is not at all the same. And some people come on, I'll have people come on co-commentary, and they don't. So all right, full on, let me get into commentary. So I take commentary extremely seriously. Like, when I came on to get better, because I'd heard myself a couple of the early years and be like, I got to get better. And I would listen to other sports. I would take note, even the like when to pause, or when to elongate words to make it impactful, or like the storyline, knowing, like, for instance, Bob Matthews, Rondell. Rondell drops out for SBD Austin. What are you going to do? If you don't do this properly, you're just watching a guy exercise. You know that, huh? So what are you going to do with no real opposition that he's facing? Rondell's not there, but and it's got to, Rondell's total is, but you're not going to use 1045, because what are you going to say? You think it's good to say, well, I mean, maybe he's 35 kilos below 1045. What are you, crazy? No. What are you going to say? Think about it. Rondell did 1010 this year. Can Bob do 1010.5? Yeah, he can. Wait a minute. Can Bob beat Rondell in 2025 and become the number 120 in 2025? Yeah, he can. That's your storyline. Okay, we're going. And that's what I'll say in the podcast. And that's what I'm queuing myself up with to say on the commentary. And I'm already ready that if he hits it, I'm dropping the soundbite. Rondell Hunt, you have yourself a contender. And everyone with this Bob Matthews arms up, and there's your soundbite. But you come with, like, what's your storyline? What are your sound bites if they hit? Give them the hero moment. There has to be a hero moment. Not everything's going to be a hero moment, or else nothing's a hero moment. So you draw the line in the sand. If this guy wins a head-to-head, it's easy. But if there's no head-to-head, what are you looking at? What do you have? What kind of meat on the bone do you have here? And you have to, your storylines to the way you talk. You don't get too loose like it's a podcast. Here's one thing I don't do. I don't cheer. I never cheer. I might be like, oh, wow, huge lift, but I'm never, let's go, Billy. Give it to him, Billy. Give it. Never. That's a sin as a commentator. I'll never cheer for you. I might say this means everything to Billy. If Billy hits this, this means this means that. It sets him up. He makes the IPF world team, 10-year veteran, long-standing hunting. Can he do it? All comes down to this. Pause. He starts to pull. He's done it. He's done it. But I don't cheer. That is not professional. It sounds like something you do at the local level. It sounds like a fan got in the booth. I don't cheer. I drop sound bites. I lay my story. I lay why it's important for Billy to hit this. And if he hits this, then, or if he misses at the knees, oh, one more year, Billy. One more year, you'll be back. Well, whatever. But there's a difference. There's little things. And if I'm the lead, I'm the lead. And you do not lead continuity throughout. I say name and wait, name and wait, name and wait, name and wait. And you will let me say name and wait if you're the co. You don't say the name and wait and start leading, because what I'm doing as the lead is literally leading all of the storylines I'm ready with in the name and wait, the continuity of it. So you'll never step over my feet. I never step over yours. We don't talk over each other, which is very important. I can lay down the foundation to these things. I lay down the foundation. I've already done my research and scouting. I come in with my scouting report, and I know all the lines, and I say, Billy Smith coming off injury. This is huge for him, and I say why, and let me do that, and you sprinkle in afterwards. You could also do storylines and whatnot, but you let me go first. We don't switch roles back and forth like a volleyball during the broadcast, trying to figure out who's leading and who's co. it's important. Like these are like, I take things like professional when I walk in there. So there's certain things, man, like I don't know. Well, it, enough that like SBD's like, write this all down, and I handed it over to Pete Spence actually. He's like, I'm going to use this for the local shows we do and the whole nine. Be like, which one are you? Are you the lead? You the co? Here's your job stat. I'll do sponsorship shout outs because I know I could do them. I could say, yeah, and visit Malta. You know, last year Malta's was actually holding IPF Worlds, and it was lovely. And if you have vacation days left in your day job, we encourage you to visit Malta. And that's the Visit Malta drop. I know I'm gonna do it like that. Let me do the sponsorships. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
if I got a minute here, I'd like to give a shout out to Alico with the equipment you can see on the platform right now. It's the choice of the IPF Worlds, and we think it should be your choice. I'll do that. Let me do that. I know how to do that. It'll sound good. It'll sound better. But there's jobs, you know.
It's so funny that you bring that up. It's like, it's one of those things I think we take so for granted. And actually, I'm looking at Billy, and we both know Billy was cheering his ass off in that Swiss Nationals.
Oh, Billy!
He was cheering his ass off. No, but I was too professional. I was too professional.
Yeah, I fucked up.
No, but it's one of those things that we don't.
But also, don't be discouraged. You guys, so many people, like, it doesn't matter. Carve your teeth. I'm telling you, go back, listen to early King Lips, go back, listen to early commentary, go back. You jump in the frying pan and just start rocking and rolling. It is what it is. Don't feel bad about nothing. At least you're doing it. You got heart, you got ambition. You're going out there, you're learning on the fly. Fuck it. It is what it is.
But I think it's so funny you bring that up. It's like, it's one of those things I think people take so for granted, is how good the commentary sounds now, like how professional it sounds. All of the stuff that you just said is well worth people who are going to do commentary paying very close attention to, because it will genuinely make such a difference. Like, it's something I think we tried to do at Swiss Open Nats. I tried not to speak over each other, but in that kind of scenario, it was three of us commentating over one meet. It was a bit clunky. It was hard to coordinate properly. Billy and I were both on gut cuts that morning, so that wasn't ideal.
I'm surprised the mic didn't pick up our stomachs rumbling.
Yeah, but what I did know about it was fun as hell. Like, it is so entertaining to watch and like give your thoughts. And I wish I'd done more scouting on the storylines and like figuring.
It was hard because we were also competing the next day, so we were kind of more focused on that than like. But they had a sheet in front of us that we just got given on the day to try and learn the lifters and a bit about their story, a bit about them, and they've done a great job giving us some detail. And we really tried to. I think that's one thing I'm really glad that we did. We really tried to work those in, because again, especially at nationals, like there could be people who are much higher, much lower, and all that kind of stuff, or people doing their first nationals. But just trying to make it like build those stories anyway was a really fun thing to try and do. Whilst we might have not done it to the best of our ability, like we came out after, I was like, definitely would do that again. Like, absolutely would do that again. Like, if we can, like, again, we did get some compliments after for just making it fun, trying to, like, they could see what we were trying to do. Whilst we might not have executed perfectly, I think it just gives you more minutes for next time. Honestly, anything I've done in powerlifting so far was competing, podcasting, like with the coaching, all that kind of stuff. I just want to do it again and again and again, because that's the only way you're going to get better at it, right? You fuck up, you look back, and you go.
I mean, even like, we've only been doing this, this is episode 72, 71. If I go back and listen to like the first 10 episodes, they were fucking ass. They were so bad. And I'm like, how did people listen to us? And I see where we are now. And I'm like, okay, this is a step change improvement that we are now. And like, if I look in 70 more episodes time, how much better will it be then? And like, where will the like, how many listeners will we have? What kind of reach will we have? Because the reach we have now is already mind-boggling to me. I cannot fathom how people would want to listen to us talk for over 1 million minutes. I would fucking end it if I had to listen to myself talk for 1 million minutes. I hate this, and I'm so grateful people enjoy listening to us talk this absolute pish that we just spout. It is just so cool that we get to have these fucking like conversations with people who care about powerlifting and nerd out about that shit, and people find that entertaining. It's so cool. And like, yeah, it was very heartwarming and grateful when we got our creator wrapped through, and I was like, damn, that's kind of nuts. And, we're still a relatively small podcast, but it's so cool to just see the impact that you have and sort of have a rough feel of how many people you impact. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You guys got the right attitude to like, you're okay. So here's another thing. When you first try something, you're not going to be good at it 99% of the time in life. So you don't get discouraged if you're like, ah, shit, I did this, I that. So did I. Like, if you guys try something new, like we just did commentary for the first time in a little while, it's okay. Like, don't get discouraged. Be like, first step. And then I'm do another one. I'll do another one. I'm learning constantly and I'm getting better. And it's maintaining the enthusiasm and shrugging it off from whatever. You did plenty good. There's a lot that you did do good, right? There's a lot of good takeaways, and you focus on those, and you keep honing your craft and get better. That's actually the exciting part, is like knowing when, just like in powerlifting, you first come on. The beginning is the steep curve of learning, and it's really fun, and it's augmenting quick. But I think a lot of people, like, just period, is get discouraged too quickly, or go in there with the expectation of, I'm going to be this right off the hop, and you're over anticipating how easy everything is because you see other people do it. Period in life, we all do this. And then when you give a kick at it, and you're like, wow, shit, how come it wasn't as easy as I told myself? It's like, that's okay though. It shouldn't be that easy. And
Yeah.
it's a worthy pursuit. And doesn't mean you're not built for it. You're on the right path. You keep going.
For sure.
You
Just
guys
don't
got the
go-
right attitude, man.
You
You
just
got some
don't
good
go away.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. You just don't go away, right? Like, if there's one thing you can do, and I guess we're probably going into more like life stuff in general rather than just, but you just, as long as you don't go away, if you have that enthusiasm and that genuine love, especially for this sport in particular, in any regard to what you're doing in the sport, you're gonna get somewhere,
Oh, no.
right?
My attitude to everything in life is the long game. Like, everything in life, you gotta just keep hammering that nail for as long as you can. That's everything in life. Sometimes you get lucky and the nail goes in on the first swing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get lucky. Most of the
Yeah.
time, you'll spend 10 years beating the same nail, and eventually you'll get there. You'll make it.
And even within that, you can get to that good level, and you can get complacent, and you can drop down again, and you need to pick yourself back
Yeah.
up again. And it's a never ending kind of thing. What I always think about that as well is, like, when you fall, you just don't fall as far because you know what you're doing a bit more. But then you have to go that bit further and that bit further. But I'm curious, Ryan, like, because we do have a question there, and it's crazy because you do have so much enthusiasm and knowledge on both. But if you could only do one, podcasting or commentating, which would you do?
The worst question in the world. I can only do one.
You can only do one.
Fuck. Holy shit, fellas.
I'm holding this pause for you, Ryan.
That's the hardest, man. You asked me to choose between my two children here, and I gotta kill one of them. Literally, like, it almost is like killing off one of me. Like, because, like, when I think about commentating, it's not just the commentating itself. It's literally flying all over the world and seeing people face to face, seeing new places. Because I'm blessed with being able to do IPF Worlds, which changes every location every year. So I've been all over the world, 10 different places in the last 10 years doing it. And then you throw in Sheffields and American Nationals and whatever the heck. So, like, I'm in the amount of people you see in real life, it's amazing. And then real sports moments, I'm there. I'm like 20 feet away. Like, what I even just felt at SPD Austin, like the way I describe it, it's like that. Like, I've had people come on and ask me, like, what if you lost the enthusiasm? What if you weren't you? Well, first off, the way I'm talking now and the way I get, like, wound up, like, that's just the way my personality is. So I'm not going to change me. But I was explaining to them, me with commentating, when I get in the booth and they start counting me down, 5, 4, I still feel it. And it's like, like it never left me. Like, and I describe it as if you're with the love of your life and you're 65 years old and you look in your eyes and she's still the same age as the day you met her and you're head over heels in love with her and she's still the most beautiful girl in the room to you. And I don't care if I've been doing this for 10 years all over the world. Battle comes up and like, I'm like, it's still, I feel it, and as long as I feel that, um, I, I'm never losing the dude. I could do it for 25 more years. And like, that's a love affair, gentlemen. That's a tough one to give up. But then on the flip side, when I talk about like commentating and how many deep conversations I've had that I will never forget. Like I will never forget some of the stories I heard and how it made me feel. Like some of them, like I have holiday specials with whatever, whoever throughout the years. It's been rotating cast, and we're just goofy, silly, playing games and whatever. And it's like some of the most hilarious, like I just laughing like you do with your close friends, right? When you let your guard down, it's hilarious. And I've had other podcasts where people told me their life story and I can't wrap my head around it. And I've had other podcasts where just like so much. And how do I give up those conversations? How do I give up those conversations? Like it's how do I give up those conversations? And how much those conversations like now in real life, it's a joke when like people like if I meet somebody in my personal life and they sit beside me and it's like a dinner party or whatever, like I'm nervous to have a conversation with somebody that I'm just meeting. Like, we could do this, Playboy. Don't worry. I could do all the heavy lifting for 2 hours straight. We'd be good. Like, but like I'm not even the same person, and I'm glad it's changed me, and I. It's like it's a blessing. Nobody walks around. You guys probably feel the same way, but nobody walks around in society having these conversations in a world where people are so detached due to a million other reasons. Nobody sits down and has these in-depth, personal, one-on-one conversations for a couple hours at least once a week, maybe twice. Nobody does. I do. I do. And so when people meet me in real life and I'm a certain way, that has molded me. How do I give that up? Billy, that's a bad question, dog. What are you doing to me?
So we've got both children are living. I think is what we've got. No
I gotta
children
live
are
with them
dying.
both. You got. I'm the mother who's like, take me out back and shoot me. I'm not killing one of my kids. You take you. And Billy's like, all right, take him out back. Let's put him out of his misery.
Do you
know
want
what's
this
funny though?
podcast to worry about?
You know what's funny though? See that thing you said about doing the heavy lifting in real life conversations? That's something I've genuinely noticed in my personal life. This podcast has been significant. Like, I was always a little bit of a yapper. I could always chat a little bit. Now I can carry a conversation. I can talk shit. I can fill a silence. I can talk to anyone about anything for as long as is necessary. And to be honest with you, this has helped me in my work, my career. Be able to and the confidence to just put weight behind what you're saying, which is what you got to do when you're a podcast host. You got to put the weight behind the sayings. You got to put the weight behind the conversation. You push. Sometimes you got to put back and let the guest push, but sometimes you got to push. That's helped me so much in my personal. It's been a genuine personal growth for me. Is this podcast learning to start conversations, to just engage with people, be the first one to sort of lay down the gauntlet and have a conversation. So if anyone is struggling with public speaking, start a podcast. It's great. You can say whatever you want and you only get feedback 36 hours later. No dramas. And if everyone hates you,
how about you, Billy? Like, what do you take from the podcasting?
How long we got? I think for me, I've said it so many times, like especially as someone who works as a coach within powerlifting, talking to all these really big names, I say it over and over again, like it made me realize that, like, again, these are normal people and they all have different ideas, and I can take what I want from that and apply it in my own way. But I especially think what Fraser says, I feel like I've always been quite good at, I'm quite an empathetic person. I've always been quite good at like talking to people and having like deep, hard conversations, whether that's because of what I've been through in my life or whatever. But this has just like sharpened that even more, and it's helped me, especially with like, you know, when you're a coach, you're kind of in front of people all the time, and you have to deal with different personalities, and you can learn how to almost like motivate, get the best out of them, and again allow them to have their place to speak, and you can get the right things that you want to hear to help them be a better athlete. There's so many things in regard to that, but I think honestly the biggest thing is I get to have fun. I think with powerlifting being like, with coaching, like it is my job, it's my livelihood. Like, so like unlike this podcast, I can come on here and kind of let my hair down, talk about powerlifting as a fan, and get to just really, and I don't want to say I enjoy coaching, don't get it wrong, but really just be a fan for a little bit. And again, we have it where it's just like chatting to my friends. Even when we have a guest on, we make them feel like a friend. It just feels like a good conversation. Even this podcast right now, like talking about the whole thing about like delayed gratification, just wanting to go and go and go and go. I'm fucking hyped, and it's 20 past midnight on a Thursday. You know what I mean? I feel like I think on this podcast more than once I've said like I could jump, like smash my head through a brick wall right now. I'm that like motivated, hyped to just go and do stuff. So yeah, that's my take.
Have you guys had on a guest? I mean, I gotta name names. That's been tough. Where they, for instance, this is the toughest, and some people may not notice when they're hearing it, but when you podcast, I know when it's happening to the podcast host, where you ask a question, they answer. It's not a very long answer, and there's not room for a follow-up question off that answer because it's a little too, and then you're like, okay, next question, they answer. And they answer your question. They're not being standoffish. They're just not talkers. But they're not a big enough, flushed out enough answer for you to have a follow-up. Or you really got to work for a follow-up question off of that. And you're like, shit, this is going to be a really long...
This is going to be a long one.
You're like, I got to work. And people listening, there are times when you will do it and keep going. Another question, follow up to that, keep working. And then 60 minutes, 90 minutes go by. You're like, thank you very much, whatever, fire podcast. And you turn it off. And people, you know you're good when people listen to it and they don't even realize.
Yeah.
You just carried. But if you know, someone could listen if they podcast and they know what it's like on the other side of the table, they'd be like, my man carried that entire conversation. And what people don't understand, you know, when I first started, they were like, I had people telling me, you know, I listen to podcasts. I hear the interviewer, and they use the term interviewer, you know, like 25% of the time, 30% of the time. And the interviewee shoot like 70% of the time. And, you know, trying to tell me critiques and advice, early days. And I'm like, yeah, but that's it. I'm not an interviewer, huh? This is a long format podcast. It's a free flowing conversation. We have conversations. And if the conversation ends up me being question, answer, where I'm carrying all the weight, so be it. But that's not what we really sit down to do. Like, there's different formats for all different podcasts. They're not all the same. This is what people got to understand. You got to identify what's your format. And I think some people come on and it is what it is. It's okay. I could do it. But have you guys had this? Have you experienced the?
Yeah, I think me and Fraser know the exact episode.
We both do. And you know what's crazy is you're exactly right, Ryan. Everyone was like, "That was such a good episode. We really enjoyed it. It's one of our best performing episodes." And I mean, every time me, Billy, and Keir talk about it, I'm like, "That was one of the worst episodes we ever had to film." It was so much like really interesting, fantastic person.
Again, you talk about sound bites. We got some
great sound
bites as well.
But fuck me. It was hard work, man.
Like, yeah, we came off of it, and you know when everyone just goes, "Oh."
Yeah, like usually I can tell like how much of a talker the guest is, but how much of the talking points I get to. Like Steve Denovi and Angelo Fortino, we didn't look at the talking points document. Like today, we've answered 2 fucking questions and we've been going for over an hour. Like this is a talkers podcast. I remember we finished this episode and I was like, I was making up questions. I usually way overcompensate for the amount of questions I I don't script anything, but we have talking points. I send them to
Yeah,
everyone.
I'm ready too. I do the same.
Yeah.
I got notes I want to hit.
Yeah.
Because you could listen. If you don't, you get caught lacking and end up. You fellas will find out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got a 35-minute podcast and you're like, oh shit. people know I was lacking on this one. But then we got to the end and I was like, I had 25 questions. We got through them all and I was making up questions and I was like, fuck, this is hard work. And it did really well. I don't think you can tell. People generally said it was a really good episode. They really enjoyed it. So I think we covered it well, but we all got off and went, fucking hell, that was hard work.
I think that was the first one where you talk about our teeth were chopped off at that point. Like we, we jumped in the deep end with that one, but I think that's where I think it's quite good because there's three of us, because it must be very difficult when it's just one. When I find that a guest isn't the biggest talker, I think the good thing we're all quite good at is we all pay attention on those different points of even that short thing that they said. So then you can kind of create the lines of conversation or revert back or kind of lead them without seeming forceful into that next part that you could try and get more out of it. It has to seem natural, which can be very difficult because, if you're talking to them and you're just like, oh, okay, like they've answered, it's like, okay, so our next thing here is you've got to make it seem, you've got to make it seem like a conversation even when it's not.
Yeah, you got to have that flow. Like that is like Billy and Keir for me. Like this podcast, Billy and Keir really bring the sort of powerlifting coaching knowledge. They bring a lot of insight that I don't. I'm not a coach. I'm a fucking idiot. I train like a dumbass. But I think what I do bring to the podcast is the flow. That is something I'm generally quite good at, is steering the conversation.
You're the lead.
I'm the lead. I navigate it to make it make sense. And we generally don't cross those boundaries because when you start, if Billy and Keir just start randomly jumping in with questions that didn't fit in the flow, it fucks with the whole flow of the podcast, and then it sounds weird, it sounds scripted, it sounds like we don't know what we're doing. Whereas if you when they let me steer, and we're still mastering this. Occasionally, we all fuck it up, but that's
I'm the one that fucks it up. I get too excited, just jump in because I'm
it's
learning. You do good, man. You're good. No.
It's learning.
You fellas are good. I can tell already. But yeah, it's good. The more you do those, the more tough ones you have, and the more people can't tell afterwards, are like, that was fire, and you're like, holy shit. Now you know you're good. Anyone can crush a podcast if you got a really good guest, but if it's a tough one, and the more you got of those, the more fearless you get, to the point where, like, initially I would always have a co-host with me for King of Lifts, and because I knew if it gets tough, I could talk to my co-host. I'll throw the question over to my co-host, like, what do you think? Like, oh, that's an interesting answer. What do you think? And then my co-host could give me something if the guest is like, it's more or less a dud. But then eventually you're like, you know what? Let me see if I could do this solo and just, like, even if it's it's tough though, because there'll be some where you're like, I'm going to work hard. And it's so it affects, man. Not everybody's got, maybe they're nervous or just not super talkers, or some people don't realize how to have a conversation. Some people don't listen and then follow up on what you said. They actually won't even talk unless it's a question. I have to pose a question. Here's what it is. If I'm having a conversation with you, I don't have to ask you a question for you to talk when I'm done talking necessarily, huh? I might. But I'm saying I don't have to ask you a question for you to talk if it's a conversation. If we just sit down, we're chilling tonight. But for some people, legitimately, they'll come on and it's like, they think it's an interview. And if you don't ask me a question, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
So we're just going to look at each other. And I'm like, oh, shit. It's going to be tough. All right.
Yeah.
I think you can flip that coin, though, because sometimes you have talkers and they can talk, right? But the problem is, and this is kind of more Fraser's role for us than anything else, you know what, fuck it, I'll shout him out, I'll say it, Durans, right? Durans can fucking talk. That man can go and go, and you could not talk for the whole episode, but sometimes you just have to, like, somehow steer that or even get it back on track before you've, like, essentially spent 2 hours talking about nothing, because you've got these, like, really great guests, and there will be good bits in there, but, like, you've got to make sure that you keep it on a track somewhat. It's fine if it loops out. We love, like we always say to every guest, we love side tangents, we love the stories, but sometimes you can have a really great opportunity with a guest and you don't get anything or as much out of it as you know you could. That, and again, we talk about that meaningful stuff, that impact. It's not we're just trying to get these sound bites or anything. It's like, we know you've got such a good story. We want to show that to people.
Yeah. It's like if they got a great story, but I'm doing a Sheffield preview. I want to cover Sheffield, but if you just start talking about your training and shit, man, that's great stuff. But I got a podcast to run, and I need to talk about at least something relevant to what I'm going to title this. If I'm a week out from Sheffield, that's what people want to listen to. Not about what your training was like 6 months ago. Like that's all well and good and interesting, but let's like steer the conversation to this thing, and that's just like the part of the role of the lead. And honestly, man, props to you for doing this solo, because I don't know how you manage the like scheduling, recording, uploading, the social media as well. Like, I'm so grateful to have Billy and Keir to take the social media and editing and shit off me. And fair play to you, man. How the hell do you manage that?
Oh man. Oh, dog. I'm busy as hell. I don't know. I have very little downtime. I just do. I'm not the type of dude that sits around too much. So I don't know how the hell I make it work, man. My girl's moving to Canada to move in with me, and you have to have downtime with her. So that, like, if I live straight up bachelor life, I'm on my own schedule and I'll do whatever, so I can make anything work, right? But when you have a significant other, if you live together, it's gonna be different. So, but I've always, but I mean, even then, over the course of like the last 10 years, obviously I've like done this all before. I don't know, man. I think it's because if you love it, like the way I described it before, you'll do it. And there's necessary evils, like, oh, this part isn't super fun. Sure. But you don't get the fun part if you slack off on this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that.
Yeah.
And here's something else. Somebody will take your food off your table. Someone would love to take your space or whatever. And I think there's plenty of food for everybody to eat. I'm just saying, you got to keep trying and keep pushing. Competition is good too, to like keep pushing forward, and like don't stop doing these little things and whatnot. That's why in any business, in any industry, it's always good to have competition. It brings out the most in you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's not easy. It's not easy.
I think that's a big thing, even like, because when we started this, like, we really try and upload every single week. We don't miss a week unless it's something like we were in South Africa for Commonwealth, we had to miss one because of that. We rarely try and miss a week, and it's just like there'll be times we say all the time, we'll line up things for like 3 weeks and we're good, and then you're 1 week away and you have nothing planned and you have to work it out. But in those hard moments, you can usually find something really good out of it. Like you said, just got to keep on hammering that nail.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you make contacts. Like you must remember, Ryan, I messaged you, what was this, 2 or 3 weeks ago? I was like, hey yo, you free tomorrow night? And it's like, sometimes you're like, you just got to shoot your shot and hope that someone's free for a podcast. I remember messaging Matt Gary for the SBD Austin review show, and it was the Friday night. I was like, yo, Matt, what are you doing on Sunday? And he was like, yeah, I'm game. And you just got to, if you're sort of like, oh shit, we don't have a guest, I need to figure out what we're going to talk about. And you know what? We will put in the time. We will, like Billy said, it's midnight here. I have absolutely no qualms about being up this late to do a podcast. It is what it is, because you make it work. You love the game. You make it work, and you figure out a way to get your episode out, don't you?
To be honest, if you ask me, like, are you free in 6 weeks? I'm like, I don't know, 6 weeks. Like I don't know. But if you like, literally, are you free this weekend? Is way easier to a large extent, or at least within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot easier for me to wrap my head around. But if you go too far ahead, it's almost daunting to like, I don't want to commit 6 weeks out. What if something changes 5 weeks out? I'm like, shit, do I have something? Holy, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When when like I remember 10 years ago, this is the cutest. I like would like try to book people like 3 months in advance. I was so nervous that like exactly what you were saying, where it's like, what if I hit a bunch of momentum, but I don't have people booked, and then like I go like 3 weeks with nobody booked, and then I lose all that momentum, and I'm like, oh, I can't let that happen. So I better book like 3 months in advance, and every single week, maybe even two a week, and I'm booking like crazy, trying to keep track. And I'm like, what if I have a dud? I can't let that happen. Well, I'm gonna have all these pre-made questions. I'm gonna send them the questions. Tell them to tell me stories and whatever ahead of time, and like I'll have co-hosts, and I was so in now. Like I'm still kept together, but I'll be like, are you good this weekend? Does that work for you? And just hook it up, and like it'll work out. It'll be all right.
Yeah, for real. Like, I used to be like, oh, I'll get everyone's document out to them with just sort of talking points, and that'll come out like 4 days in advance. And now, like, most people are lucky if they get it the day before, because we were like, well, actually, no one's going to read it a week in advance. Everyone's going to read it the night before. Like,
Yeah.
you only need to be reasonably coordinated. And I think generally guests, I guess you find this as well, generally guests are pretty accepting of, we're human beings as well. We got lives. You just got to make it work around what everyone needs to figure shit out. Unfortunately, you'll find this as well. Having a 9 to 5 is quite inconvenient sometimes for running a podcast. Like, unfortunately, when you're trying to do internationals particularly, it can be hard to line up dates. I remember we were trying to line up Jason Tremblay and Kedrick Kwan and ourselves, which is 3 very drastically different time zones. And it was like, we had a 2-hour slot where it was a reasonable hour for everyone, and that was it. I think we started at like 8 p.m. Kedrick started at 7 a.m. and Jason was at like 2 p.m. And it was like, that was the only time that we could figure out that would work for everyone. Otherwise, it was like 5 a.m. for Kedrick, and he straight up was like, I am not fucking waking up that early. I like you guys, but not that much.
Yeah, good luck. By the way, Ryan, good luck with the missus moving in. My girlfriend just moved in with me this past weekend, and I've been like, yeah. I bought a flat in Edinburgh, and like, been living the life, and she's just moved in. It was funny to even just tell her, I was like, yeah, I've got a podcast at 11. She was like, yeah, this was yesterday. She's like, 11 in the morning. I was like, no, no. And even today, she came in. She's like, oh, should we sit and watch a Christmas movie together? And I was like, yeah, I've got this edit I've got to do. Sorry. Let me get to 8 o'clock, then we have our time, and I'm back to the podcast. But it's just that thing that I love her so much, more than but like the love of the game is always there.
Well, I like, honestly, I'm the type of guy, like, if this is the way I look at it, you don't hook up with a guy like me, someone doesn't hook up with a guy like you. Like, I'm a passionate person. Look at the way I describe the things I described in this podcast. You don't hook up with a guy like me and then be like, I hope I dim his passion a little bit. So that he, like, what are you doing? Why would you even hook up with that guy? Most people actually, if they're going to end up hooking up with you when you have these side quests, it's actually an attraction to them. They like that you have side quests. They like your ambition, and it's not necessarily just money driven. It's something from there, and it's for a lot of people, they take something from it. I can't even relate to someone who doesn't have a passion. If you don't have a passion in your life, that's not relatable to me. It's fine. I'm not judging you, but that's just not the life I've ever lived. My first person perspective of life. I don't know what that would even be like.
Yeah.
If I didn't have nothing, I don't know, man.
We often talk about, like, what do people who don't train do with their time? Like, I get home at 8:30 p.m. every night after the gym, and I eat my dinner and I go to my bed. And I get up at 6 a.m. for work. Like, I don't have on like, around that is fitting in podcast stuff. I don't have free time. Free time is not something I have. I would chat to people at work and like, oh, did you play this video game? I'm like, no. I turn my computer on. Well, actually, I used to play video games. I've got this really fancy computer, and all I do is record and render podcasts. That's the only thing my £1,000 computer does. And you know what? I wouldn't change it. Like, I don't care. Like, I have a passion. I love this thing that we do, powerlifting, the podcast. it is so important to me, and I cannot fathom what people do if they don't have something that they can put that passion into that takes up their time. People are like, oh yeah, I just sit and watch TV. I'm like, man, I get bored. I can't watch TV for more like an hour, and then I'm like, I either want to do something or go to my bed. It seems like a waste.
I'll pose it to you like this. Like I can watch TV with my girl or whatever, but I haven't competed since 2019, but I still like lift like power lift in terms of training and whatnot. But here's what I would give you. Not only is it attractive to me personality wise, like with friends and people I like to surround myself with who are also motivated, disciplined, passionate. And if you're not that, it's not really attractive to me to hang around, not against it, but it doesn't bring nothing to me. But also, I'd post you, I mean, I had this conversation. I remember Russ posted that he doesn't need to date a girl who goes to the gym. That's his thing. He doesn't need a girl that's the same thing. But for me, I was saying, and then me and a couple other people were like, so for me, it's a big deal if a girl does, not just because the physical what you get from going to the gym. Obviously, you go to the gym 2 hours a day, you might be attracted to somebody who has a body that like that as well, right? Got you. Girls too. They could be whatever. But it's actually attractive mentally if they're disciplined, motivated, in like that's actually making. If you told me this girl's got the exact same, girl A looks the exact same as girl B, they look the exact same in every way, but girl B gets after it, disciplined, on point, like she's motivated, she inspires. I swear to God, I find her more attractive and even physically all of a sudden, even if they look the exact same. It's that's true too. That's true too. For me, not even just like the passion side.
For sure, man. All right. I also want to pitch some stuff about sort of where we see powerlifting going next. I also cannot believe how long this podcast has been going for, man. This has been good chat. But I've got some more questions that we had because we have not answered any of them. Which, like I said, always a sign of a good podcast to me is when we don't answer any questions I've written down. But like, what do you think we need to? I've asked this to a few people, but I'm particularly interested to hear your opinion. What do you think we need to do for the next 5 years in powerlifting to grow, to keep growing at the rate we're growing at? Because we don't want to stagnate. We don't want to just sit where we are, get comfy, get complacent. We want to keep growing, right? What do you think those next steps are?
Couple steps. Now, one thing I've noticed, I think we've all noticed, like when I came on, you described the podcast as an IPF podcast, but like King of Lifts is not necessarily an IPF podcast. I feel like that now though, because the Untested is definitely falling off. Like it's on life support. It needs something. But for the longest time, I would have on like all the biggest stars from the Untested, like Steffi Cohen, John Hack, and all their showdowns. We do preview shows for Untested. Not going to happen really much now due to just like it was on life support, man. And powerlifting as a whole, you look at the reach that a prime Larry Wheels had, reached that. Like some of these people, even like Steffi Cohen, when she was in her prime 2019 range, had like 1 million followers, and she was powerlifting and competing, and people like, when do you compete next, watching and whatnot. As a whole, if the Untested got back to its old ways, that's one piece. That's one piece that all of a sudden, if we did nothing more on the tested side, because we've done a lot, we've grown, they haven't grown with us, they've fallen back. If we did nothing more on the tested side and the Untested got back to a Larry Wheels and like, the Black Tom Cruise era and all those fellas get in it, Kevin Oak and all them, and they started crushing again as well. That's guys like Joe Rogan they know who Larry Wheels is. You know what I'm saying? Mainstream people know who some of these people are. You want, if Untested just gathered themselves, and to do that, you can't split up the talent pool with a bunch of money meets, different federations, no one faces off. You're chasing records. I'm going to show up at this local meet held in this high school and break this freaking world record. It looks dumb. It's not the standard, and none of your contemporaries are there. Like, it doesn't work. The reason why the tested side works, we got Worlds. We're all gonna clash at Worlds, and then after Worlds, we have the mega money meet. That works. We're all under the same umbrella. We're all going dancing to the same beat. Doesn't work when people do, like, we split up. Once you split up and there's no head to head, sports is not. I don't give a shit if name the number one basketball player shows up and he's shooting three free throws, trying to beat the free throw record or 3 points or whatever the shit. Let me see 2 games. Let me see them play against each other. You showing up by yourself with no one else competing against you is nowhere near as entertaining as competing against other people. That's much, much, much better. It's always going to be my number one option on this. In the Untested, they had so many different money meets in different leagues and whatever. They split up and they stopped having it and they died. That's that. That's number one. That's an easy one. That's low hanging fruit. Half of us were tested, untested, and one half damn near died, was on life support. Starting to come back a little bit with abs. I see what they're trying to do, and hopefully they can get some mega showdowns head to head, because they see it. Abs is like, all right, if we don't get some showdowns head to head, this isn't going to happen. This isn't the way it's going to work. So that's one piece for half of powerlifting. On the other side, tested, I think we've been doing a really good job with Worlds every single year. The media gets better and better. Sheffield is what Sheffield's done. We've done a very good job in escalating it. One of the things we got to dive more on are these money meets and a circuit of money meets, because there's a talent pool in some nations like the US, France, etc., Britain, that they're not going to make it to Worlds. There's one spot, maybe 2 a weight class, and you need to do something with these athletes. It can't end there. So that's where SBD Austin, Avances, Silent Worker, this is key. This is key. But what Silent Worker said, how they want to do Silent Workers in several different nations, and the final Silent Workers in France, like a circuit, start moving in this direction here. Start giving people a pathway. So you can have a Grand Prix of it, whatever. Don't go the route of the USAPL Pro, whatever the shit. That really didn't work, huh? Who followed that? I'm a powerlifting nerd. Nobody followed that. That didn't work. So we know it didn't work. But you need, I think, one-offs like Avances and SBD Austin, 100%. Lean more into that. And my man, your Ryder Cup idea, I think that's exactly it. Exactly that. A money meet like that. It doesn't have to be big as SBD Austin or SBD Sheffield, but more ideas were one and done right there also, because we're not going to follow the USAPL Pro Series bullshit that literally died on the vine and no one cared about. But I will show me a Sheffield it's one and done. I tune in. I have conflict. Read it. This is what Chael Sonnen says why the MMA works. You promote it. You have conflict. 2 people, background story, conflict. Only one person can win. Oh my God, oh my God. And when I tune in that night, I need conflict resolution. I need a winner. I need a loser. And it's got to happen that night. And that, right when I watch it, that's why it means something. But don't make me follow this so far 4 months, and I'm keeping track of points, and I'm who's in this and who's in that and whatever. Not really for our sport. If someone can do it, fine, but it didn't work when USAPL tried it.
No, I think that's the beauty of the Ryder Cup idea that Will had, is it gives you, like, the US inherently loves the US, right? They're not going to be shy about it. We are not disillusioned to it. They love the US. And I think the idea of having this trophy or this cup or this plate or whatever it is that, you say, we beat all of Europe. We took the US team, we took our shooters, and we shot down Europe. Every single lifter in Europe, we beat them all. And we did it 1 year in a row. Now we've done it 2 years in a row. Now we've done it 3 years in a row. And then Europe go, hold on a minute. Like, this ain't it. So they bring their shooters, and then they say, okay, we took the cup back off the US. Now we're better than all of the US. Like, I think we need storylines that people can get behind. And I absolutely agree. We don't want to fall. People who follow powerlifting don't want complicated shit, and like it's been one of the biggest sort of critiques of Sheffield. Maybe not warranted because I don't necessarily agree with it. That the scoring system is a little bit complicated or hard to follow on the day. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I mean, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I think it's not that difficult to follow. But I can see where they're coming from. But easy to follow, like you said, conflict resolution on the day. It finishes there and then. It is done. You have an answer, and then you got one side who's the winners and one side who's the losers, and you come back again the next year and you fight again. That's what we need. Is just like enough time between the events. That's why Sheffield's great, because you get time between the events to see the growth and see the lineups, and you see other meets where they've grown. Oh shit, this person didn't do that well at Worlds. Oh no, they're not going to Sheffield. Like Jesus, incredible Sheffield 24, like super meet. Sheffield 25, still an amazing meet, but not as great. Now Worlds, oh shit, he didn't have the meet he wanted. Now we're not seeing it with Sheffield. And then he comes out at SBD Austin and says, I'm still here. I'm still fucking here. I might not be at Sheffield, but I'm right here. And then we're all like, I cannot wait to see if when Jesus goes back to Sheffield in 2025, 2026, late 26. Everyone's like, oh my God, I can't wait to see the strongest man who's ever walked on this planet squat 500 kilos in Sheffield. At this, shit like that gets people going. It is what people love. It's what people love about powerlifting. And yeah, I think Sheffield's done wonders for that. And I think finding more stuff that we can get like that is I absolutely agree. I was really intrigued about your untested point. That was, that would have done real well as a hot take. I'm just saying.
For powerlifting to be better, untested needs to come back. That is a interesting one. But I do hear what you're saying, in particular about like the followings. Like when I was first getting into powerlifting, the people I saw all the time were Larry Wheels, Steffi Cohen, John Hack, these kind of people. And like you say, mainstream people actually, or people who don't necessarily pay that much attention to powerlifting, just love watching freaks. Like, you know, that's kind of what they see. And again, if you then create showdowns and you can really get that back, it could do a whole lot of good.
For sure.
It could. But I think, when you think about Larry Wheels, what usually caught attention was him doing super dumb shit, like single arm incline bench pressing 315 pounds. Like those are the videos that went viral. I'm not sure we'll see Jesus doing anything like that. I'm sure he could, if he wanted to. I'd love to see it. Jesus, if you're listening, that'd be great.
It was also the way Larry looked with his shirt off. Like, you see a guy like Dan Green. Dan Green was Larry Wheels before Larry Wheels.
Love Dan Green.
Yeah, Dan Green.
It literally walks out of a comic book. Like, it's the reason why the Untested, if they can get their shit together, they look like Marvel superheroes. Like, it's insane. So if they can figure it out, they have the opportunity. They just got to figure it out. And the problem is they're unorganized and they're split. Yeah. And that's the hardest.
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, look at Russ. Russ looks insane. And I think that's part of the reason he's got such a big following. Obviously, he's insanely strong, very charismatic. But bro is jacked and looks good without a shirt on. Same with Mo in the UK. Like, Mo Suleiman has got some of the best genetics for body. Like, if that guy went into a bodybuilding show, my God, he would do insane. Like, and again, massive following. Guy looks insanely good with a shirt off. We need more people like that in powerlifting. Not in a weird way, right? But
weird. Nothing weird about it, man. Nothing weird about it.
Exactly.
But it reminds me when Russ rocked up to Sheffield and he was in the outfits and he does all that kind of stuff. Like you see, like the mainstream the more mainstream sport players do. They rock up in like these swanky ass outfits and try and, again, I guess it's almost like what Taylor said to us about more people need to talk their shit. It's kind of doing that in the way they carry themselves and present themselves. Not everyone in powerlifting has the personality of Russ, to be fair, but I think especially on the test side, they're a little bit more crazy. Maybe they could.
I think the
thing with Russ, who did a phenomenal job on SBD Austin co-commentary, he knew. Here's something I'll give a tip of the cap. He follows sports and is such a sports fan that he's the same thing that I said I did when I did like commentary, and I researched it, even how they talk, how they pronounce certain words or stretch out certain words or pause in certain moments, blah, blah, blah. Russ, without actually maybe doing research, is such a sports fan. I mean, he's an uber fan of other sports. It comes natural. We had to do speak over the medal ceremony for SBD Austin. Those are usually brutal to just talk over a medal ceremony. And then we had like a 20-minute gap in between. The whole thing is over. We've just talked for like 3 hours straight. Then 20 minutes, there's nothing but me and Russ just talking. And you can't straight up podcast talk about whatever you want to. It's got to be about the day. But you've already done it for 3 hours and it's already been done. And then while they're getting the medal ceremony ready, talk over a medal ceremony, but again, on point while people step onto that. And you never know, like Russ has never done this before. My man did not drop the ball. Every time I threw something to him, he ran with it. And we crushed 20 minutes setup and another 20 minutes of medal ceremony, 40 minutes after the meet is already concluded. Not a moment of dead air because there was no action, fellas. You stop talking, they're not watching someone deadlift. It's not a good pause to build suspense. There's nothing. And my man was battle tested. Russ knows how to talk and carry himself. He's built different for this. I told him afterwards, I'm like, shit, dog, I'll work with you anytime. Like, Russ is good. He's good with it.
I guess
he did cheer for Jesus, though, so, you know.
Yeah, no,
Well,
hey, always pointers. There's always pointers to be had. That's right. That's right. And that'll make you feel better, Bill. You'll be like, Russ killed it, but
yeah.
he had some learning moments.
I will say, I imagine for Russ, it was probably easier talking to you than just talking to his camera. I think, you talk back to him, his camera probably doesn't.
That's true.
But I think we'll get into the last couple of questions because I don't want to keep you too late. And I think let's go with your favorite memory in powerlifting.
Oh shit. I'll tell you one right off the hop that just jumps in my head. I've had a bunch. But all right, so I'm from Canada, and I still to this day remember when Jess was battling Agatha in 2022 Worlds, and Agatha was not the Agatha yet, at full powers, but was about to be, is right before. And Jess is like she's our girl in Canada. Like she flew the flag for us so many times in so many battles. Like she's in the juniors, 2-time world champion. In the open, this would be her second world championship. Like she was the one, like wherever. And she was pressed in this one. Agatha pressed her hard. And it came down to the point where, as the commentator, I'm saying Jessica is about to pull, and they're in the 76s. They still have the 84s and the 84 pluses. 2 weight classes up. And I'm like, Jess has to load up the biggest deadlift in IPF history to win this. And Canada's loading it right now. And I remember saying that, thinking, holy shit, is this a battle? Like to actually have the biggest pull in the entire IPF, and you're 2 weight classes down. And I looked across the platform, and in the wings, the crowd can't see her yet. Just as I said that, I looked and I could see through the view. I could see Jess behind the divider, and the crowd hasn't seen her. And I seen with her headphones on, and the Canadian coach is like, yelling at her. And she's going, and like shaking her head like a fighter about to open the fucking curtain and let me walk down to the cage. And I remember I got chills. And I've known Jess. My first year at IPF Worlds was her first year at IPF Worlds, 2016. I've known Jess the whole way through. And I remember looking over there and seeing her about to come out to the biggest deadlift we've ever seen. Back to the wall. And it's like, holy shit. Chills, man. And Jess came out, hold it, her knees were knocking and like the eyebrows were shaking. She refused to let that go, locked it out, got the down command, and she pulled it off and won it. And that was the only world champion Canada got that year. And just jumped in the air like as high as Michael Jordan, my friends. Like it was, and did a Hulk smash on the ground. Like, yeah. And I remember like it was a moment, man. It was huge. It was huge for us, but it was huge as powerlifting period is such a beautiful battle. And the fact that pressed to be like, let's pull the world record in our weight class. Nah, one weight class up. Nah, nah, all the way up. This is the biggest period. This is what I got to do to win gold. Yeah, yeah. You ready? I'm ready. Let's fucking go. It's crazy. That's a movie. That's a movie.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was I've had a lot, but that one I'll never forget looking over and seeing Jess right before she's about to do it and how I felt.
That's a pretty good memory, man. That's a pretty good memory. I mean, I think a lot of people will remember that, man. We've talked about that battle 15 times on this podcast. Not just for Jess, that was like an insane moment, but for seeing Agatha in the crowd, like that almost made it that much better. It sort of embodied the community spirit of powerlifting. You're going out.
Well, hang on. When they asked her, why were you cheering for Jess? She said, because this will be the last one she wins. And Agatha became Agatha ever ice cold in her veins. And Agatha became Agatha ever since. And Agatha's a monster. I love Agatha.
Oh, me too. She's awesome.
Dog, also, I chased down robbers in Toronto with Jess in Leah Bavois. And like, we like, there was a purse snatcher and we were all in Toronto. We like chased them down and brought Jess and them took off after this dude. It's crazy, man. I gave this story at the King of the List a while back. Yeah, dog. We're all hanging out in Toronto. They hit me up because they were in Toronto. And because Jess doesn't live in Toronto, like anywhere close to where I live in Canada. Leah's there. She was with Ben Escaro at the time, TSG coach. And Omar Yusuf was he's local to Toronto. And Luke was there, and like we had like we all went out, and some dude we heard screaming like bloody murder, screaming from across the street, and we're just like hanging out in Toronto by the CN Tower doing the whole whatever, and we were, what the hell is that? And we look across the street. This is downtown Toronto, fellas. 6 million people live in Toronto. When I say crossing the street, you're crossing like 3 lanes this way. Divider, 3 more lanes the other way, like it's crazy traffic. And we look across the street and some dude is running, sprinting. And then we look back and there's some lady crying, screaming, straight out of a Spider-Man movie or something. And I'm like, oh shit, that lady just got her purse snatched. And I'm thinking, well, that's shitty, but you know, it is what it is, right? It's Toronto. So, but Leah Bavois, out of my peripheral vision, it like runs, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I look, and Leah Bavois, with no hesitation, runs through traffic, through 1 lane, cars, second lane, third lane, through over the divider, another lane. I'm like, and I'm like, what is she doing? And she gets to the other side of traffic. Look. And the guy's like 50 feet ahead, and she starts sprinting after this dude. I'm like, what the fuck? And I go, Jess, can you believe? Jess is already through the first lane. It's like, I'm like, Jess, what are you doing? And Jess is cutting through, and I'm like, holy fuck, I think we're doing this. Okay, we're doing this. And I start sprinting through traffic. And I'm like, holy shit, this is the craziest. And Luke Birmingham's with me and Ben, and we're all doing this. We're sprinting after this dude. So we're chasing after this dude in downtown Toronto. and freaking there's buildings. And if you guys ever seen an action movie where, Leah is on this guy's ass, and she's covered ground on this guy's ass. And this dude's looking over his shoulder like, what the fuck? What? Did I pick the wrong way to snatch a purse? The Avengers happen to be just having a cocktail outside. And freaking, because athletic jack people start chasing him. And so Leah's on his ass. They turn the corner around a building. I'm getting relatively close to Jess. And instead of going around the building, Jess is going to cut him off. So she goes around the other side of the building. So I'm behind Jess. And we're sprinting, and all of a sudden, at the end of the block, I know Jess thinks if this guy takes a left, he's going to be face to face with me. And Jess is game for it. And I'm like, holy shit, we're going to be face to face with this dude. Literally, Leah's going to corner him off. And once it occurs to Jess, I see Jess's arms and legs start pumping and moving like a football player who got tossed the ball and is taking it down the field. And I'm like, she went from 10 feet in front of me to 100 yards ahead, my friends. And I'm like, Jess, I'm yelling while sprinting, like, Jess, wait for me. And she, like, on. You want to be humbled by somebody's athletic prowesses? Watch Jessica Bittner when adrenaline hits her and it's fight or flight. Yeah, she gonna fight. And we're sprinting, and straight out of a movie, I'm looking through buildings, and I could see, homie, a building over. Like in an action movie when two people are sprinting, and you're looking through, and you're chasing each other through buildings, and you're seeing each other through every hole, through the, like, alleyway, in the ultimate meeting of. And by the time we got around the corner, Leah Bavois had already got him and took the purse off of him. So when we swung around, me and Jess, he saw Jess and was like, I don't got the purse. I don't got the purse. I gave it up. And he was like, and Jess was like circling him, like wanting to see his hands. And he's got his hands up like, I don't got the purse. And I'm like, Jess, just leave the guy, let the guy go. Because I swear to God, it looked like Jess was going to put hands on him and start ragdolling this kid. And he's like a drug addict. Like, this dude Jess would ragdoll the shit out of this guy. Like, I'm there initially, like, I can't let Jess have to handle this dude on her own, but she didn't probably need me. Like, this dude was in over his head. The wildest man. But anyway, yeah, there's another powerlifting member.
Wrong place, wrong time for that guy.
That guy really
shit.
This dude is like, who the hell are these people?
I'm just imagining seeing Jess Bittner chasing after me. I think I would just drop it and leave. I'm like, nah, man, you take that. I'm not doing that.
She was a track athlete before. So was like Leah. Like, these people are before they found powerlifting, they're doing all types of crazy things.
Man,
it's
see track athletes, they just got something of powerlifting. Like Annie Nelson as well, track athlete turned powerlifter. Like, I think that fast twitch sprint training is just like such a good carryover to powerlifting. It's such a similar sort of explosive strength. Anyway, my last question of the night. We asked this to all of our guests. We're creating what is probably going to be the worst playlist in all of history because it is composed of such a massive variety of songs. What is your go-to? If you got to pick a third attempt song to walk out to, what are you picking as your third attempt song?
Bam. I mean, it's going to change, right? It's going to change here and there. Right now, it'd probably be I think Drake Family Matters. And keep in mind where I'm located, right? And Drake went to battle with Kendrick Lamar, and obviously I was Team Drake being where I'm at. But and that again struck a chord, and I'm like, yeah, get him. But but throughout history, it's been a whole bunch of different songs. I mean, because I'll get bored of a song and move on.
Yeah.
No, we'll go with that. So I think that's the first Drake one we've got on it. So we've got a whole mix here.
It's everything from rap to. I think Agatha just listens to. I think it's just called noise. Is how I would define it. To be honest with you,
I think Agatha's is on Sound. No wait, is it Is it? I actually have Agatha saved, but I haven't put in the
People being
podcast in the
tortured.
playlist yet.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only on SoundCloud. I think that's
That's how much of just noise it is.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on, Ryan. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Great chats. We've run for 2 hours, and I think we've answered 3 questions I had. So up there with Steve DeNovi level of chat, which is high praise. Love Steve.
Thank you for coming, for having me on, fellas.
Freudian slip there.
But honestly, this was good. You keep pushing. You guys got something going here. Commentate, podcast, and you never know what doors open up, and keep pushing. You guys are good.
All right.
I'll come on anytime you want to do it. I'm game.
Cheers, man. Appreciate that. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.